And I wish, there'd been a different relationship when I was a kid, because I really wish I hadn't been such an ass those years. You think back of it now, it's like, I wish I wasn't such an ass. I'm not saying women don't deserve everything that we've had. I understand. I just feel like there's a generation of men now that, over, say, the last 10, 15 years of the world, again, it's not just women, it's the world
We are back here again, ladies and gentlemen, with a brand new episode. Now, this is a little disclaimer before we get into it. This is a very honest and open conversation between me and one of my very good friends, AndreC. Now, there is a lot of topics talking about men's suicide, talk about men's struggles and everything in this episode. So if you are worried about this, then please, I would encourage you just to watch it, just to have a little bit of that open-minded in the conversation. But if it's too much, then put us on in the background and you don't have to really concentrate on much. But with every view and every count and every subscription, we can get more and more people to see these type of videos and see these type of conversations that are coming your way. So if you haven't already, please make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and as you just saw the moments ago of what's coming up, we're now about to get into it. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my very, very good friend and an absolute living legend, AndreC. Fucking hell, that was an important start. I nearly just fell off my chair as I was about to do the intro. That is a great start to this. What, Jesus Christ. You nearly saw me shit myself as I was doing this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode. As you saw what was coming up at the start of the show, I did a little intro as well going into this. This is my very good friend, AndreC. But before we get into this, this is a place where we're going to keep things real and honest. There are going to be some laughs and some chats along the way as well, because the truth behind the jokes and behind the tough fronts, a lot of men are struggling in silence. In Canada alone, over 60% of men say they are dealing with high stress. Nearly a quarter are at risk of depression, and half of us feeling isolated, but most of us, about 2/3, haven't ever asked for help. And that is one of the problems in Canada at the moment. So today, not about preaching. It's not about going over the top with anything like that. We just want to have a perspective and talking on this topic as well, because we had a topic and conversation last time with Bobby Munson about Canada. We've also got another good friend of mine coming in this week, and that is AndreC. How are you doing, my friend? How is everything going for you?
Life's going okay. There's nothing truly bad in life right now. Nothing truly great. Just struggling with somebody in my life who's sick and just trying to deal with life. But, all things considered, life isn't that bad right now.
Perfect. Right. Before we get into your struggles you're having day to day, and we'll get into more of the stats, because I found a lot more stats about men's mental health in Canada than we did last week with Bobby. We always ask this same question, and we ask this in every single episode. I'm going to ask this today here with you today. What in your mind makes a good man?
That's an interesting question. For me, it was always just looking at my father. I'm not the perfect human in the world, but just was always just generally honest and just caring and compassionate. Like, I'm not saying I'm not perfect. I try my best to emulate the good things about my dad and just try to carry on. I can be a shithead sometimes, but like, the best thing you do as a man, at least in my opinion, is just try to care, try to be compassionate to people when they have issues, and just don't be a dick. Not being a dick. I don't know. It's a hard question to answer. You know what I mean?
It is. It's a very open question. It's very much of those. We ask them to see what everyone goes with. Let's talk about your dad then, because it seems to me, to you, a very massive role model in your life. The way that you talked about him, the way that he helped you. If you can, do you want to describe to the people of what he was like growing up, having him around, or what was the main things he installed in you as a man with you growing up?
Mainly just he again, my dad was born in the 50s, grew up in the 60s and 70s, but he was one like he never like I know you hear about a lot of those old school guys. You can't cry, you can't do anything in that. My dad wasn't that. My dad was not like I saw him cry multiple times in my life. I saw him. He when I if I had something and I had to cry, I cry. He was it was very much that he had the old school mentality in him, but he also was a evolved enough person to realize that yeah, you have to cry. Yeah, you have to feel in time in spots, right? And he gave me that. I think that's the big like him and my mom too. Like was a big part of knowing that. But like he like being able to see him cry, like especially as a good. I lived with my dad for a lot of years. As he got older, as we got old, as and to see him be emotional, like I remember uh with esophageal cancer, and we got a phone call, and I was right there, and he was crying, and we just sat there for a while, and that's the man I've known my like not like it's a man who's been able to let an like at least with me anyways. He never like he's let emotion out like things like that. So like he never and I've always taken that as a person like yeah, I can be cold, I can be a rock sometimes, right? As we all do in life, but when I need to feel something, I let it out. Like, and that's I think the biggest thing he instilled in me was to just like don't let that kind of shit bury down deep. And I think we all have in times in our life. But again, and he just like I lost him 3 years ago, and I said it at his celebration of life. He was my best friend. Like I have my best friends. Like I have my best friends, Mel Ball, my buddy Josh, my buddy Christopher, Andreas, like Adam, the you and Bobby. Like you guys are some of my best friends in the world. But like he was that person that was again, no, like my entire life. Like it just uh he was my best friend. Like we did a lot together. My first ever indie wrestling show I went to was with him. Actually, the first one I ever went to was actually at the Legion in Morinville here. But the first, like, when I wanted to go see PWA, I had nobody to go with, and he's like, "I'll go with you," and he came to the first PWA show in Edmonton with me, just so I kind of had somebody with me. I just I didn't know anybody, and like, but that was my dad's who he was. Is like just I remember taking a trip out to Bonneville, me and him, going to watch curling because and like and some of my the biggest like the biggest curlers in Alberta played at a Bonchfield in Bonneville, which is a small town here in Alberta. And these are like Randy Furby and his rink and Kevin Martin and his rink were there, like two like guys that are world champions and stuff who've been to the Olympics. And like it's like and getting to meet like going and doing that kind of stuff and just all the random just different stuff we did together. Just weekends where we just watch a movie, just hang out and watch a movie. Like he was my best friend. Like and he just kind of was always there for me. Just always had that support for me. And that's the thing is I try to emulate with people. I know I have made mistakes with people in my life, but I try to be there for people the same way my dad was for me.
So, if you don't mind, I want to track back just a little bit, and I
Yeah.
want to talk about the time when I think you said when you found out he had cancer. Is that correct? Is that what you said? He got cancer.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, he was diagnosed in 2019 with esophageal, beat that, but then it came back as a brain tumor.
right, okay. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to get you go dive into because we all guessed that you were very upset, very sad about how that
Mhm.
situation was going. How did you deal with that yourself when you were going through that type of thing? We talk about men's mental health and all of this. How did you deal with that type of situation? Were you a very open family? Were you very talkative in your family? Was that the thing that helped you get through all of that? Where you did that? What did you do to get through that to try and help not only your father but to help yourself as well?
Yeah, like again, spoke with my dad a lot about the things I was feeling, but like I'll say there's a big part of it with my mom. My parents have been divorced since I was a teenager, but like they were friends until my dad passed. They were still friends. They were it was weird. Like for a lot of people, you see divorce and it two people just hate each other. But parents, well, they weren't like super close for a few years, but they became friends and they were friends till the end. Both they supported each other through both health stuff. And my mom like gave me that sounding board to just whenever I was dealing with stuff with my dad and it was just particularly hitting me hard, she was the person I could just talk to. And again, I would through the health network here in Alberta, I got to talk to a mental health nurse a bit during those times, and just to kind of she helped me get through some tough points. I didn't see a therapist until after my dad had passed away, but yeah, during that time, I was just booking mental health nurse every little bit just to kind of help me get some coping mechanisms, things like that. And then just having my mom, my dad, we were very open and communicative about the things that were going on. And because again, I was there to take my dad to a lot of appointments. My mom helped taking him so I could continue to work while he was in treatments. My mom took him to, she was retired, she just retired. She took him to a lot of to his minor appointments, and I would take him to like certain bigger, longer appointments and stuff. So like, but being able to talk with both of them about the things that were going on during that time really made a difference in how I dealt with it. It was still a struggle. I still had a lot of feelings that, sometimes you don't let out, but I at least could vent some of the stuff I was feeling to both of them. And the mental health nurse did help with a lot of that too. Um, but yeah, it was tough, but I was lucky to have both parents who were very open to talking about what was going on and how they were feeling too. So it helped validate the things I was feeling at the same time.
Let's talk about your mum. She
Okay.
seems to be a very strong department in your life. She seems someone that is a bit like mine, was very you could go to her and say anything you particularly wanted. You could be openly honest as you could possibly think you could be. Is that the type of relationship you had?
Yeah, yes, but after again, I say this, but I say my dad was my best friend. It's 100% true because like when my parents divorced, I got kind of bitter because I had to live with my mom, and I got bitter about it as I was like 11, 12 years old, and like my dad was gone, so I got bitter with it, and like as a teenager, we had a very rocky time there, just due to being resentful that my dad was gone, things like that, and not being like I went and lived with him for a little while, but then I had to go back, and I won't get into state
Mhm.
stuff, but my mom took the brunt of it all. But like once I kind of became an adult and we gave us the opportunity to talk more and kind of find out a lot more things, where it really kind of opened our relationship up in a better way because we far more able to talk to each other more as adults now and things like that. Like, but again, even as a teenager, the shitty relationship we had, she was always there. Like, she always was a person for me to go to for anything. And then went through enough health issues that she had. She had a transplant in 2012, so I was there with her through a lot of that. And um, yeah, it just she's she's been a rock for me my entire life. Don't get me wrong, like. And she's just always been there. She worked so hard making sure I was taken care of growing up, and she instilled a work ethic in me that I don't think she just always from a young age I was always meant to be doing. So I had to earn a lot. Like not in a, like it's not like I had to I had to work for everything I got in my life. Like as a kid, I had to earn it. Like I didn't. if I wanted a play, like I wanted a game console or a game or something, I had to work for it. I had to do chores. I had to do, and I was just like, hey, I want this, and you get it. I had to work for a lot of stuff, and I think that put an important point in my life that, yeah, you got to work for the things you want. You get there ain't just gonna be there, and I think that's benefited me in life going forward. Well, am I perfect with that stuff today? No, I think we all, but I don't I I work for what I want and things like that. So she put that in me from a young age, and that really helped. And again, she's one people to me in my life at this point in my life. Like we've got, and again, as I became an adult, I again things got a lot better because I wasn't a resentful little shit anymore. So our relationship got far better as an adult than it was
Mhm.
when I was a child. When I was just a shitty little teenager. But yeah, again, but that's life. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Was there a spark or something in your brain that went, I need to have a better relationship with my mum here? Was there something that changed, or was it just over time you were talking to each other more, things were happening, or what was it for you that was that change for you to get that better relationship with your mum?
I think part of it is I moved out at 19. Um, ended up moving I got an apartment with my dad when I was 19. Um, because again, once I kind of separated that, I think it changed things. But again, I don't know where the true change was, but I just think it's just growing up and not being an insolent little shit anymore. She'll probably to this day tell you I'm still an insolent little shit, but like, but that's my mom. Like just the other day, we just hung out and watched that new Cena and Idris Elba movie, Heads of
Yeah,
State.
head
We
of
just
state.
yeah, we just hung out and watched the movie and just had a blast, just laughing our asses off at the ridiculousness of this movie. But
Great
like
film.
that, and I love those days where I can just go and hang out with them, watch some movies. We have TV shows that we only watch together. It's just something we do together, and yeah, it like I love her to death. Like I don't know what I'd do without her because like it's I love like it's really it, it, it's weird because I know what I was like as a kid, but I know what we were like now, and I wish there'd been a different relationship when I was a kid because I really wish I hadn't been such an ass those years. You think back of it now, you're just like, I wish I wasn't such an ass and just learned something different and did something
Yeah.
different in those points. But again, I love her. I love her to death. She's a rock for me, and like I don't know what I'd do without her.
So perfect way we can move on now to the next point of topic is, what's the one thing you do regularly to check in with your mental health? Is there something that you do to try and regulate that? Is there something that you try and find a way to help you? What is it? What is the one thing you would say? Do you sit down with yourself and write things down? What is it that you do to try and regulate your own mental health?
Um, yeah. So something I learned to do a few years back when I got into therapy. When I did some therapy a few years back after I lost my dad. Um, I just started writing stuff in my phone. But then I write it. Especially if I'm having particularly stressful stuff, and I just kind of just write maybe every day. But after a few days, I'll put when I've had some stressful stuff happen, I write it in my phone, and then I keep it there for a couple days, and I just kind of look back at it just to kind of think about it, and then I delete it. And does it erase the stressful nature in your life? Does it get rid of anything like that? No, but it does kind of help. Again, I know a lot of people when you have it stressful, it's journaling, writing things down. It really does help and kind of, but I don't, and it disappears, it's gone, but it just allows me to kind of put it into perspective for myself. And I look at it for a couple days, just trying to figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? Like what did I do wrong to contribute to what this issue was? And what outside factors could I have done to maybe have alleviated this if it's something that I was like I'm involved in could have alleviated some of the stuff that brought stress and is bad stuff to my life, and figure that out. But then you just then eventually it's still there, it's still in your head, it's still always going to be in your head, but it allows you kind of helps me to process. And the other thing to do is some days I forget to, but before I go to bed, I just do some breathing exercises just to kind of help me end my day. It also helps with stress, helps take that stress stuff down. Um, Weirdly, I'm going to as we record this tomorrow. I go and do a sleep therapy thing for sleep apnea and stuff. Just because I know some of the stress I have in my life just is due to I'm not sleeping super well, and that's probably due to my sleep apnea and stuff. So I'm gonna go get that tested and things like that. So I'm trying. There's stuff I'm trying to do to help with the mental health of it all. Because if you don't get sleep, you're gonna be a lot more stressed the next day. Oh God.
Absolutely. Little bit of a fun question. So, if you could pick a movie that's your mental health right now, as we record this on the 20th of July, if you could pick a movie that represents your mental health right now, what would it be? Bit of a fun one.
Oh wow. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. Ooh. Honestly, Jesus Christ.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Um,
It's a weird one.
Clerks. As of right now,
Okay, go on.
my brain is just me and my brain just talking back and forth about the most random bullshit in my head right now.
All right, I'm going to do it as well. I reckon my brain at this moment is Cool Runnings. A lot of stress at the beginning of the week because of my driving, and then at the end it was all right, man. We're all right, man. And so now as and didn't have to kiss a lucky egg, so it's even better. So has there been a point during your life where you've clocked or you've realised that your mental health has got worse? And is there a point where you've gone during your life and you've gone, something needs to change? What was that? Um, and what made that change for you?
Um, I'm gonna say probably during my dad's first health issues back in 2019. Um, Going through his stuff, I realized it wasn't just my mental health at that point. I hadn't identified it as my mental health yet. Health. And that's where I started casually going to the gym on and off for a while over the next couple of years. And then he passed away in 2022, which I, I had a lot of friends and my mom, they're supporting me. Melball and Mike the ref, two the biggest supporters for me at that time. And some other friends I'm not going to name on here because they live their own personal lives, but two that might be known to this watching this on the channel know Mike and Melball. Um, again, my friends and my mom were exceptionally there for me during those times, but I started to get into my own head and really get it having not dealing with my feelings in the right ways at that time. And I hadn't been working out for a while at that. I've been kind of working out casually at the time. I hadn't been working out for a while at the time, and then I want to say that summer after my dad passed away is when I finally started doing therapy. I started talking to somebody and talking to them about once a month. My benefits of work were very good. They had a very good mental health coverage at that job, and so I was speaking to them to a therapist about once a month, and it really helped me figure out like just a lot of the problems I was having, and then that helped me to get back into the gym to help to get there. Like 2023 was a big got to 2023. It was a big year of me changing a lot of my working out a lot more. Started working at one of the local wrestlers here, Rich King. Um, if you highly recommend. I lost a good chunk of weight there with him. I put a bit of it back on because I've let stuff slip over this last little while, but I am getting back into getting myself back on track. And again, it's a tough struggle when you've kind of fallen into funks. I was in a funk for a little bit this last little bit, just kind of fell out of love with a lot of things. Uh, I got gotten earlier this year, gotten kind of stressed out with a lot of the stuff I was doing, and take a step back with Andre Melbell channel. I kind of got a little of stuff there, and took a step back and just doing a little less now, and kind of fell out of love with a lot of stuff. And then I'm slowly kind of getting back in. Yeah, it's been a very up and down road for me these last few years again, but I think I'm in a better place than I was even like 2020, 2019. I think I'm in a far better place mentally than I was then. Am I perfect? No, not even close. But I think I got myself to a much better place than I was. Never, never, only I think one, yeah, never really truly bad, but like the mental health is one thing, but like the physical health for me really helped benefit the mental health for me too. Knowing I've seen changes in myself, it also really helped frame my mind in a lot better way than I used to kind of frame myself. And I remember at one point in my life thinking, I'll just always be fat, I'll always just be out of shape, whatever. It's not going to matter. And since making a change and dropping a bit, like I used to be in a like between 5 and 6 XL shirts. Now I'm in 4 XLs very comfortably, which makes like I still have a bunch of my 5 XL shirts I wear because they're nice, free and flowy. But they're like this is an old 5 XL shirt. Like it's incredible. I bought shirts that weren't tight on me when I bought them, but the fact that I can literally here's my chest here, and I can pull it out that far, like, and this is not a like it's super stretchy. Like I've made a huge difference, and I see that it allows me to think, okay, I don't have to be a fat guy for it. You don't have to be a fat guy forever, and that helps you gain confidence in a lot of other things. So it helped my mental health there. And while I've been in a funk for the last little bit, I'm still back in a mode to get back into those things.
So you're talking about you were in a funk of it. And this sort of goes into the next question for you is when you're in those sort of moods and and you've got like as some people call it the silent days of there's no one really around, it's just you and your thoughts. What do you do? What do you do? Do you let them in? Do you let them out? Do you think about it? Do you let it stew? What is the thing that you do when there's no one around? It's just you, and you've got time to think. What is the main thing that you look to do?
That's the biggest thing I hate in my life is having to think, having to be alone in my own head. Like if you know me, if you were to watch, if somebody was just to kind of have like a camera on me all day at home, you would see that I pretty much always have an earbud in my ear. I'm either to a podcast or I'm watching something on my phone because I don't like. Guess the last thing I like to be is alone in my head. Like I hate. It, not to say that I have a dark. I'm just going to steal at me, but that's the thing I hate more than anything is being alone in my head. Like when I'm alone and I am in those points, like I just yeah, I think about it. If it's something that's making me angry, and again, like I said, I'll type things down on my phone, and then look at the things from now reading it point of view, trying to figure out. And sometimes I sit there obsessively trying to figure out what could I have done, how did I let this happen? Like there's I get into that. That's a big again. I'm an ADHD kid. Like I get weird obsessives. I get weirdly focused in on things when I don't need to be focused on something, or I just you always tend to hyper focus on the worst of the worst possible things. I find I do anyways, and yeah, like I get in those kind of modes, but like I try to let them go eventually, but like, yeah, I just kind of fight with myself and I hyper focus on why did I fuck this up? How did I fuck this up? Like you know what I mean? Like again, yeah, I get a hyper focus on theirs, but I try to deal with it in the best way I can to let it go.
So, lean on with that. And this is going to be a little bit of a fun question in between here now. What's the most ridiculous thing you've done to boost your mood, and did it work?
Mm. Um, don't know honestly. Like,
I'll tell you mine. I'll tell you
okay,
mine, and I'll tell you them, and I'll tell you mine. Mine, and I did this once, and then I got a beating from my wife for it. Was I brought the new Reading kit, the new home kit this season, the day it got released. I was feeling a bit and then I was like, right, I'm not going to tell my wife because it'd be fun. So I didn't. And I brought one for me, one for my daughter. What I didn't tell her is I also brought for like next day delivery. So it cost a lot more. So I spent nearly £110 in the space of 3 minutes. And it made me feel, because when my daughter saw the shirt, she absolutely loved it, and the smile on her face, and we wear it together now when we went to a Reading event the other day, and we wore it together when we went to the event, where we met the players, and we did all of that type of thing. But then it made me feel better because I'm like, oh, I'm happy. But then I need to realize I can't rely on that because I'll just be bankrupt and I'll be broke beyond compare. So, what is the thing that you do, that you try and do, or what you've done to try and lighten your mood a little bit without getting beaten up? By the way, disclosure: my wife doesn't actually beat me. She could. She scares me more than anything. But at the same time, she watches these videos now. She doesn't watch anything else on any of my channels apart from these videos. Honey, I love you. Anyway, go ahead.
honestly, it's the horde. That's the
Okay.
kind of group of friends I have. We call ourselves the horde. It's Melball, it's Nathan, Mike, Adam, Andreas, Kat. It's our crew of friends. We get together. We go to wrestling shows. We go to just this past Tuesday. You know what we did? We went and we just went for ice cream. We just went to this little pop up ice cream shop that's just on the side of the road, or just like it's like right next to a parking lot. We just went all parked there. Just went to ice cream. We just hung out. It was just so nice. Seeing all
You went out. You had fun.
yeah.
That gets you out. So basically, what you're saying is when you're around that group of people, that's when you sort of feel a little bit more relaxed in what you're doing and spending on
Yeah.
dumb shit when you go out and do that type of thing.
Yeah, like this past Friday, I went and saw some friends that I haven't seen him. Actually, a couple of them I hadn't seen since pre-COVID. A couple of the guys I went and saw, some old friends from. It was really nice to get out. Like for me, a big stress relief is going out, going to wrestling, going to events with some friends, going to comedy shows, and watch to get a laugh and just feel some positivity in a room, and just seeing my friends at wrestling events. It's the stuff I love, the stuff I really gets fires me up and gets me feeling really good in the end.
That's good. And also, just before we get into it, and we know that we spoke about those group of friends, and we know with you and Melbourne, you did a lot together.
Mm.
Is she your go-to person? Who is that go-to person, would you say, for you when you're having a bit of a low and you just need to vent, or you need to say something, or someone's got that piece of advice for you? Or is there a collective people? What would you say for you is that important figure for you to go and talk to?
Mel's one of them for sure. I've had issues and I talked to her. And she's really good, and I know she has come to me with stuff. Peggy has become a really good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Really good friend in that point. Like we talked about some personal stuff. Kat, my friend Kat. But yeah, like I have a few friends. My buddy Josh has been that for me for a that personal bullshit I've had to deal with. Um, yeah, those like so I have a few really close friends that I know if I turn to and I say, "Hey, can we talk about this and keep this between us?" This is how I'm feeling right now. I'll never hear a word about it from even they won't mention it afterwards unless we specifically talk about it. And I know they'll never mention it to another person just because stuff I'm feeling and like I have a few of those friends. My mom too. My mom's another one. Again, just she's somebody I can just be like, "Hey, I need this isn't going right. I need to talk to you." And like, but like I have a few of those friends, my mom, that really are there specifically that do help with that.
That's good that you have quite a few people there for a support system. That's
I'm, I'm,
amazing to
I'm a
hear.
I'm a lucky one. I'm a lucky
Mm.
one that I have supporting me in that way.
And what I will say is, if anyone's watching this that hasn't or they don't think, then DM me or DM Andre, and we will be happily answer anything that you would like to know. If there's any questions you got for us, if there's anything you want to talk about that goes on in your life and you're not happy about, then always message us. We are happily there. And if we don't know the answers, we may be able to point you in the right direction for someone who will. So don't ever think you're alone. But I want to go on to another type of this. We did this with Bobby last week. We did this with my brother the week before, but I want to talk about this with you. This is a little bit about statistics. We did a little bit at the beginning, but I want to go through some of the statistics that we've got. 1 in 5 Canadians experience mental illness each year. By the age of 40, around half of the population will have one. Around 5.4% experience major disorder, with 4.6% impact by anxiety disorder annually. Men are roughly 2.7 times less likely to use mental health services compared to women. In Canada, only about 3% of people using mental health services are men. In 2019, a survey found 75% of Canadians believe men are more reluctant to disclose mental illness, and 40% of men felt embarrassed about seeking help. An annual prevalence of mental illness is 1.5. A major depression annual rate is 5.4% of the population. Anxiety annual rate is 4.6% of the population. Usage of mental health services for men is 30% of service users. Men are 2.7 times less likely to use the service compared to women. 4,000, which is 75%, 11 a day of suicides that happen with men. Young men, depression risk is at 43%, anxiety is at 57% for young men at that age. Men with depression risk is also at 30%. Gay and bisexual men, anxiety risk is at 45%. Social isolation is at 50%. Isolation in men living alone is at 73%. Men never assessing professional help is at 67%. And indigenous men is the 11 times the national average of suicide. We did these statistics last time with Bobby Munson about men's stats, and because of the size of Canada, he said he wasn't too surprised by that. When you hear these statistics from it, what is your first instant reaction? And also, another very tough question, and I do apologize with these coming in like this, is if you were in charge of the Men's Mental Health Act in Canada, what would you do to try and help more young men that seem to be picking up the depression a lot more and not talking about things? What would you do?
Well, I would rehaul mental health completely, in my personal opinion, because like I've watched my mom struggle. I've struggled again. It's very, and I'll say that like I don't think mental health is regulate is it's not regulated, but it's not supported enough government wise, right then and there because it is so expensive. Not a lot of people. I think the biggest barrier to have to getting help with men is the cost. Um, I know through public funding you can get it like you can get a few sessions, the first few sessions paid for through health can through the healthcare here in Canada, but then you're on your own. you're kind of, and you have to fund the rest of your bill for the rest of your sessions, and that's not conducive to a person getting help. It's putting more funding into health therapies outside of healthcare, and it's helping getting the government to help. Like, yeah, I understand that it's not cheap. It's not cheap to go to therapy, and I understand why therapists. I understand why they charge high, because they have to internalize a lot of stress that we give them and the issues we give them. So there's a lot of, and I don't do. I feel like the government should be help. I'm not saying mental health therapy should be free, but there should be a lot more support from the government to pay for these things to help us, like, subsidize that, so we're maybe not having to pay the full freight of every therapy session you're going to. Um, I get, I get, yeah, like we get. I think I'm not saying private companies have to have better benefits or anything like that, but like there has to be more care placed on that into when you're looking at benefits, you're looking at things like that, because that's the biggest barrier for a lot of people is money. Like, I was lucky in my last job for we had a sizable mental health therapy fund, like sizable. It was just for therapists, and so it wasn't mixed. It's like you see some stuff. It's like to get you got to fund like 1,000 per year for massages and other things, but it's mixed with a bunch of different stuff, right? Where ours was when I last shop, it was literally just for mental health therapy stuff, and it was a sizable amount per year. Like, I could go once a month and not pay a single dime all year and still have a little bit left over if I hadn't needed an emergency session. I was lucky. But most people's I'd have conversations with friends, multiple different friends who and I've asked about their benefits, when it comes to mental health therapy, and they tell me, "Yeah, that's like I go $500 a year." That's not enough. Most therapists are 150 to $200 per session here in Canada. So that is a real struggle for most people because, like, having to pay out 200 bucks a month just so you can go sit and talk to somebody for an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it is, that's a big chunk of change because for a lot of people in this world, you gotta you gotta feed your children, you gotta keep a roof over your head. There's so much that, and then a lot of people struggle with things like that, or sick family. There's so many things that people struggle with, but then don't have the means to talk to somebody even on the halfway regular about the struggles they go to without having to break their bank account. And that's the hardest part. That's my biggest thing. If I was in charge of mental health or just mental health in general in this country, you got to fund it. You got to fund things better so that people can have access to these programs more readily. It's that's the hardest part. I think that's what you have that I would do if I was in charge of it, is making this stuff far more readily available to everyone. And then the other thing is media campaign, and especially geared towards men too, about there's nothing wrong with talking to somebody, is putting that out there. Like, before I started doing that stuff, yeah, like I would talk with my friends, my mom, my dad about the shit I was dealing with. But I I talk to a therapist. It's like, no, I always thought, I don't need to talk to you know what I mean? You have that in your head. There's nothing wrong with you if you need to talk to somebody. And you got to talk, that needs to be put out there. And then funding for mental health therapy stuff. It's like, and I know the government can't cover everything. I understand that, but there needs to be easier accesses to these things for a lot of people, because I find you hear about a lot of the struggles you hear in this world. If some people could have mental health therapy, some kind of mental health therapy, they could have been helped.
Okay, let's talk about that. If you could give a piece of advice to anyone, like you said, let's say there's going to be two parts to this question. Let's say you're a therapist, right? let's say you've got someone in front of you. God forbid they were in front of you, but no, it's a joke. But if they come and sit, if there was a chair between you and your mate, let's say you and your mate are sat down, right, and he's gone struggling. I don't really know what to do. What piece of advice would you give them to try and help them?
It depends on what they're struggling with, but it's like, just be open. That's the biggest thing I've learned over the last bunch of years is being open about how you feel and just be willing to talk to someone. I know not everybody has access to it, but just know that some life will listen. You might have to do a little bit of work to find the right person because not everybody is the right person to talk to. Like, I'll perfectly so I'll talk to Melball about something. You might not be the perfect person to talk about that up. So maybe Peggy is, maybe Kat, maybe Josh, maybe somebody, maybe my mom. I don't know. Maybe somebody, because everybody different comes with a different perspective. My advice again is talk to me or find the right person that could understand the thing you're talking about. Like it doesn't have to be professional. Professionals are great for that. There are a lot of great services out there, but it's looking at it, you really have to. It's tough. 'Cause again, I've had friends come to me for stuff, and I try to do my best, but it's finding somebody that understands the perspective you're coming from too. Is find somebody that understands your perspective because like somebody can come to me with something, but if I can't relate to what they're talking about, if I don't understand, like if you were to come to me and say I'm having issues with my marriage, I can't speak to that very well because I'm not married. I've never been in that situation. So I couldn't tell you how I could sit there and be like, I'm willing to listen and just vent, let you vent and let you get your feelings out. And that's it. I will do that for anybody, but I can't always give somebody advice on it because again, if I haven't been through something or I don't have something that can relate to that, I can't speak to it. I can't, but I can also say, hey, maybe we should talk to this guy. Maybe we should talk to Bob. Maybe we should get Bobby on the line, and because Bobby can relate in your sense. Like I'll listen, but then I'll to like, hey, maybe we talk to Bobby because Bobby can relate. If it was the with marriage, you know what I mean? Like, is the best advice you can give somebody is find the right person to talk to. Like it might just be your brother, your sister, your friend. It's your parent. But it's fine. I can relate to you and what your issue, and that can be a big struggle in finding somebody that can relate to what you are going through. That is very hard.
Okay, then let's keep that. I'm gonna right. So let's say you've just been won the lottery. Right, you've just won a big square of land.
I'm gone.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But let's say you've built this. You've got this big square acre land, right? Big acres. I sound like Donald Trump. Lots of acres, lots of room, very nice. You've got a big area. You're going to build yourself a mental health retreat. Okay, you're building yourself a mental health retreat. What 5 things do you think is needed inside of this building?
Talking personnel or just the building itself?
Either.
Well, find the best therapists and counselors that I can possibly find to help run the place to help people in the place. Honestly, this is gonna sound so redneck. ATVs and trikes.
Okay.
Because that when you, I haven't done it in years, but dude, when you get on an ATV or a trike and just go ripping through a field or ripping through, dude, everything melts away. It's crazy. It's the crazy the feel you get when, or like on dirt bikes and things like that. You just a feeling you get, man. It's crazy. It's not. I know it sounds redneck as hell because I live in Alberta, but yeah. So that's 2. A pool because
Yeah.
goddamn swimming is the most calming thing in the world when you just can get in a pool and just swim back and forth. Oh, like everything, and it allows you to actually check in on your brain because you're having to focus on something, things that are in your problem, your brain tend to help. At least for me, click into place. If you're just going back, if you're like doing laps and stuff, um, meditation room, because just quiet, being able to sit there quiet by yourself is the greatest thing, and a yoga room.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So those are what you would do if you included. Also, we've got a couple more questions before we get into a very fun. You know this when I did my last show on OLE.
Mhm.
I love a quick fire round. Everyone loves my quick fire rounds. Nobody shits themselves when I do my quick fire round.
Or you
Um,
say 2 words when you're only supposed to say one.
yeah, this one it's not one word. It's just quick fire. It's absolutely fine. So we've got two questions. One of them is a bit interesting. So, have you ever set boundaries between you and your friends for your own mental health? Is there certain things that you won't go into with your friends? Is there certain boundaries you set with people that you go, no, no, no? Or are you just a very, what is it with you?
I've set my own boundaries on myself on what I share with certain people, because like what I'll share with like Mel, I might not share with my buddy Adam, and I might not share what I share with him. I might not share with Andres. I have my boundaries that I have with each one, but I don't. That's a personal internal boundary. You know what I mean? I've never said can't say this to me. You can't like if somebody I won't put boundaries. And if something comes up that gets really awkward with somebody, I'll be like, yeah, no, I don't want to talk about that. But I'll never like walk into a room and say we can't talk about this. Like I have my own personal boundaries on what I talk about with certain people, yes, but I won't just put a blanket statement out. We can't talk about this. You know what I mean? Like if shit comes up that I don't want to talk about, yeah, I'll stop it. I'll put a boundary up. That's a again, that's just how I feel. But if somebody, I'm never gonna walk into a room with Adam and say, "Hey, we can't talk about this. Don't bring this up." I'm never gonna put a boundary up in a friendship or in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I the best I can communicate on that one.
Okay, so the last one is there's a lot of stuff around the world at the moment with the likes of Nigel Farage, Andrew Tate, the Tate brothers, Donald Trump, JD Vance. Um, you had a candidate in the American Canadian trying to become president who was friends with Trump at one point as well, maybe trying to turn that around until Mark Carney was able to win and stop all of that notion of happening. What for you is because this was a topic of conversation I had with my brother, and it was very much of why is these type of men getting more airtime and why is men being listened to, as in that's why the Netflix show Adolescence happened. If you haven't gone and seen that, please go and watch it.
I have not.
Go watch it. Fucking brilliant. What is it for you? Why do you think that there's toxic masculinity, as it is that I find it is, that they're trying to portray as this? You have to be men. You have to be doing that. And why do you think men and boys are listening to this type of it? And I'll give you an example why I think this is, and I'll let you explain. And I said this on the show previously before as well. I think there's been an overcorrection. And what I mean by this is women got nothing and men got everything. It then flipped a whole way where now women get stuff. Now I'm not saying women get stuff is a bad thing before anyone comes at me. What I'm saying is then it's gone, you've now flipped it in the other direction. There's no balance. There's no 50-50. You've overcorrected of what's happened, and now there's men feel like there's an injustice, and the women feel like they're getting what they deserve, and the women are, but they're not getting fully, but they are getting what they deserve. But now men feel like they've got nothing. That's my perspective of what I think is happening, and that's why I feel like these men are coming to the Jordan Petersons as well of this world are coming to the top. What is your perspective, and what do you think of this?
I it's a really weird topic in the fact, yeah, I agree with you on the overcorrection. I'm not saying women don't deserve everything we've had. I understand. I just feel like there's a generation of men now that over say the last 10, 15 years of the world again. And it's not just women; it's the world become a more inclusive place overall in wanting to support women into bigger positions, support indigenous people into bigger positions, support minorities into bigger positions, and um, people of different sexual orientations like that, making a thing. And so that yeah, some men have felt that we are again the straight white male was the dominant presence in everything for ever, I guess, till these last 20 years. And again, the world is changing. And so some guys sit there and get angry about it, and they put out that men are being attacked, men aren't getting their way, which I don't believe is true because if you truly look at this world, it's still a white male dominated world. Um, we're just giving opportunities to more people, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the fact that a certain like they just and that the hyper masculinity point isn't as prominent anymore. It's and you find in just those people tend to have just know how what the things to say to activate that base of people that want to yell and scream at your basis notion. Like, and please don't take me as I support these people, but there's been a time or two you hear a Jordan Peterson, you hear he's not Donald, not Trump. That guy can go. He's never said something that has made sense in his life. But it you hear some of the statements that they do make, and something, and you think, wow, that makes sense. But
Mhm.
a fraction of what they're saying makes sense. It's based in a truth and a reality, but then they expand on it, so putting so much extra bullshit on what they say that it is where it becomes the toxic masculinity of it, the toxic conservatism of it all. It, if you look at conservatism 30 years ago, and if you took that version, put it now with like obviously minus the putting down of marginalized community, that conservatism is very different than the conservatism we see now. It's
Mhm.
due to toxic nature that has corrupted politics in general. Even the other side of it all, the liberal side of it all, has been infected in certain ways. Not and no political party is perfect. None of them have the right thing. But that toxic masculinity that's been created, it's just they've been weaponizing, saying you need to be dominant. It's like no, you don't. You just need to be able to communicate and speak with a
Yeah.
person. That's what the the best men can do is being able to be communicative and say, "This is my issue. How do we deal with my issue while not trying to put other people's issues down?"
Yeah.
And but that side tends to ram. Matters is what you think, not but they don't take into account what other people's feelings are, what other people's thoughts are. It's all about what I feel, what I think. No, it's about what we all think as a collective, and how can we all come together with all of our issues together to make it proper for all of us, not just for one set type of person. But it's been like it's my thing for how many centuries at this point. It's been the white male's perspective for so many centuries. Look at politics in these last 10 years. Um, Women's rights have gone out the window in the United States. Like the women's that's terrible. But they're like, "Oh, we're going to take apart." It's like, "No. Everybody deserves their point. Just because we perceive something doesn't mean it's right. Just because you perceive some bullshit." And that's where and people jump on people for having a men's health thing. It's like, "No, we're not on here and we're just trying to deal with our struggles, deal with stuff, but also knowing we're evolved enough to realize we have struggles, but so does everybody else. We're all struggling. Let's all try to figure out a way we can all work together to make it benefit all of us, not just one section of Community, and that's where that side tend to little things saying and energize that one little thing, and that's what they don't want to grasp is that everybody is struggling. Everybody can come. It's possible. I don't know if it is, but it's come together, and let's solve it for everyone.
Yeah, I completely agree. So now we're going to the ending now, and we're going to have top 10 quick fire questions. Not one word, not like I did last time.
Oh, thank you. I can't do that.
But this is quick fire questions. Okay, tea or coffee?
Oh, coffee. Right here, coffee.
Okay.
I do like tea, but coffee.
Okay. One thing that instantly lifts your mood.
Drugs. No, I'm kidding. Wrestling. Indie wrestling with my friends. That is the thing that will lift my mood within a heartbeat.
Okay. Last show you binge watched.
Oh, right now I'm watching Last Man Standing.
I haven't seen that one. Anyway,
Tim Allen's show from what ran from like 2012, 2011 through to 2021.
He's got a new.
I understand people get crap because he's very he's very there. But if you watch that show, it also very much opens the point of this is like a man, the character of a man evolving throughout the show. He's learning to accept more.
So he's got a new show on Netflix, on Disney. I think it's called Shifting Gears. Yeah. I watched it in a whole day. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was a brilliant show, and they're bringing it back for season 2, so that's brilliant.
That show's whole premise is direct result of watching almost like watching the character evolve over Last Man Standing. That is the character you see coming from that man in 2025 now.
What's your go-to mental reset button?
Writing things in my phone. That's my rental reset. Is putting the things in and then deleting them a couple days later.
Perfect. Dream holiday destination.
Japan leaving on Boxing Day, flying to Japan on Boxing Day and coming back somewhere in mid-January so I could see all the top shows from all the top Japanese wrestling company and then spend some time traveling around the whole places. See Wrestle Kingdom, see all that. That's my dream vacation.
Well, no one said come to the UK to meet me yet, so I feel very heartbroken.
If it was my dream vacation, all my friends would be with me. So
okay, that's fun. A small habit that's really helped your mental health. And you can't use writing things down on your phone.
No, I already answered that one. Again, the gym, it's been on and off for me, but the gym.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
I think your answer is the same as Bobby's.
I haven't watched Bobby's yet, so we don't know. You can go wherever with teleportation. You can go wherever you want for nothing.
I can't remember if Bobby said the same thing or not. I can't remember, but that might be the same. Favorite comfort food after a tough day.
Oh, pepperoni and bacon pizza.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Who do you text or call? Text or phone call when you're feeling low? What would you do?
Text. But phone calls I only make to my mom.
And lastly, the last question. One piece of advice you'd give your younger self about mental health now.
Be open and willing to talk to people. Because again, earlier in life, I didn't talk about the stuff. Be open and willing to talk to people.
Perfect. Well, that is going to do it for us. I'm also trying to find your ticker because I can't. Oh, there's this one here. So if you don't know already, he is down below. We're not going to say what he's got coming up, but what he is going to do, because this is quite far in the future. So what he is going to do is he's going to explain what he does, where you can find him, and that's probably the best way to do it.
I talk independent professional wrestling over on Backbreaker Video, Mike the Rest channel, with my boy AWS. We're just talking all about the indie wrestling that we go to. We're actually in a weird little bit of a lull right now. Actually, we will be having a show coming out. There will be a show coming out. But yeah, we're in a bit of a lull. But there's some stuff coming out with that. So check that over on Backbreaker Video. You can find me over on OLE, where I every Sunday hang out with this guy right here and Bobby Munson as we chit chat all the random stuff we talk about in sports. And then you can find me overall on Willie also doing Marvel talk there with the Empress of OLE, Peggy, the host of that show, and my boy old Ed. We talk about all just the things we love with Marvel. This show comes out sometime. Yeah. So there'll be an episode. Go check out at some point. It might have been before this. I think it's before this that comes out. Check out our Fantastic Four review. It's going to be 3 people just loving all over that movie.
Absolutely. So Big Goat, then down below is where you can find him. And you know me, these are the other channels I got. You got Mark Talks WWE or Mark Talks Wrestling, where this guy is the general manager of NXT, where we're doing in the WWE 2K25 franchise. And on Mark Talks Football, we are doing a current save on Football Manager, where we are going around the world. I have no clue when this comes out where we are, so you will have to go and check that out. But we are going to end it there. Make sure as well, if there is nothing you learn from this, is there is always someone there for you. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are back next week. Same time, same place, and this will be with Melba Collins. She will be here with us next week, the first woman on the channel, where we're going to talk about women's mental health as alongside with men's as well. That will be coming, and the week after that will be a Reading Football Club fan favourite, Johnny Hunt, who I haven't done an interview with him in about, 6 years, 5 years, I don't think was the last time I spoke to him. And we're going to talk about all things about his mental health as a nurse that he is in Ireland, as well as what the struggles happened at Reading Football Club, how that affected his mental health as well. So make sure, if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we will see you guys next week for more. But we're Love with Care. My name's been Mark. That has been Andre. And we'll see you guys very soon. Peace.